Hi. Is this all working? Hi, what's up, gamers? Hi, Space Thing 7474. Hang on, I can hear myself. I'm muting. There we go. Hi, my name is Pete. How you doing? Hi, Dervinate. It's good to see you here. And I'm sorry that I'm streaming while you're at work. This is War of the Monsters, gamers, which was a PS2 game by Incognito Entertainment. Hi, Matthias. Good to see you here again. Um, This was made by the guys that made Twisted Metal. Hi, Graham. And Twisted Metal was only popular in America. I rarely see copies of Twisted Metal on store shelves. It barely exists as a franchise here. It barely exists in Europe. But War of the Monsters broke through a little more. This was kind of their follow-up to Twisted Metal Black. And hi, Kraken. Sorry, it's 3 a.m. I realize this is a weird time for everyone. It's okay if you're on the west coast of the US, and I think that's it. But anyway, we're streaming anyway. Like and subscribe. This is War of the Monsters, a cool PS2 game. And I want to do a video on it. I'm going to do a video on it. I feel like my videos lately have all been about, like, art. There's been over-analyzing games, so I was like, I need to play something stupid. I need to play a dumb game. So I booted up War of the Monsters, and it's a really dumb game. It's really dumb fun. It's just a cheesy throwback to kaiju and old Hollywood monster movies. And, let's just get into it, gamers. Hi, Max. Hi, Radiant Viper. What we're going to do is we're going to do an adventure, which is the story mode in the game. Here are the characters. How come you advertise your Ko-Fi but not your Patreon? Just wondering. I don't know. I feel like Ko-Fi makes more sense during streaming, but I should link both. Anyway, story mode. Here are the characters. We've got Togura, who is a Godzilla sort of knockoff. We've got Praetor, who's a giant praying mantis. We've got Kongar. I'm sure you can guess. We've got Robo117, a big robot. Agamo, which is really hard to read with that font. Ultra V, who's my favorite. Macho, and Kineticlops. We're going to do Ultra V, because he's my favorite, and we're going to play through the campaign. Here in War of the Monsters by Incognito Entertainment. Hello everyone who's joining. And if you're just joining, this is a giant monster fighting game made by the people who made Twisted Metal. And it was one of those games that sold itself as having destructible environments. There was sort of a period, started somewhere around Red Faction, ended somewhere around when the Battlefield games started getting shit. But there was a period where video games were all about, or there was always a subset of video games that were advertising destructible environments as their big major selling point, and this was one of them. Sort of like Hulk Ultimate Destruction did. Good point. This came out a couple of years before that. And at the time, so here we are, me fighting Kongar. At the time, this was kind of the most destructible cities we'd seen. There was another game called Godzilla, King of the Monsters, I think, that had similar... There's a really similar game to this and came out at a similar time. Agamo means asexual in Spanish. That's rather funny. Rampage but 3D is a great comparison. This game had a demo. This is actually a Sony first-party game. And it had a demo in the official Sony magazine, and I think a lot of people played it there. We'll notice soon how destructible the environments are once we start. Like that. There's sort of levels of destruction to each building, and there's these little people. I don't know how well it's coming through on the stream, but there's little people under my feet. They're like 2D sprites, and there's thousands of them. And you step on them, and they make little blood splats. And it's delightful. And because this comes from the pedigree of Twisted Metal, those guys were all about turning a fighting game into a car game. So the weird thing about Twisted Metal is, I gotta go to work, but I'm glad I caught the start of the stream. Good to see you. This is on PS Plus if you want to play it. But Twisted Metal's a weird game because it's a car combat game that has, like, directional button combos and attacks and weird sort of... Ooh, lovely, lovely. I think I might have just beat the level. Weird sort of combat stuff going on in Twisted Metal. And I never really liked it in Twisted Metal. I thought, like, the fact that you had to press, like, down left triangle to do, like, a certain attack in Twisted Metal was weird and awkward. And I don't think Twisted Metal's a great franchise. I don't know if that's a hot take or not. But here, in War of the Monsters, where it's actually kind of a big 3D fighting game, it kind of makes sense to have fighting mechanics in it, and it feels much more natural here. And it's crazy how... I don't think this game's very balanced, and I don't think it's a great game, but they put a lot of effort into making every character have heaps of different combos and movesets and special attacks and stuff. And it's kind of offset by the game being... Oh, I just caught that. That's actually really hard to do, but I did it by accident. The game's kind of offset by it being unbalanced. So there's all these combos, but you don't really have to engage with them. And on top of that, there's no training mode in this game. It's one of those games that kind of... You have to rely on the instruction manual a bit. It feels a bit old-fashioned in that way. Like, at one point, it tells you to do a ground slam like this. Let's see if I can do one. Like that, right? And to do that, you jump up, you let go of the stick, you tap up on the stick at the peak, and you press heavy attack. And it has to be up. And the only way you'd figure that out is by reading the instruction manual or Googling it. And the game makes you do it at one point, but doesn't tell you how to do it. Or just by messing around and figuring out that's how you do it. Which, you know. It's not the end of the world. I just beat him. Cool. And Max Howard makes a great point here. You can impale people with the radio towers so the balance doesn't matter. A new version of this game would be so cool. I agree. This game is cool. The appeal of this game... I'll show you the radio towers. So the reason this game's broken... and it didn't matter back in the day as much. You know, here we are, a radio tower. Grab this, and as long as I hit him, which isn't hard to do, now he's impaled, and I can just do whatever I want to him, and it takes forever to get that impalement back out. And those weapons are so overpowered that, like, you can spam those, you can just run around the map trying to find those is probably the best strategy for this game. And we're playing on the easy difficulty right now. But on hard, that's what you'll want to be doing. You'll want to just kind of be running around exploiting all the different things that you can exploit in this game. Because this game gets really hard and you kind of have to do that. But the appeal of this game... See, now what's going on here is he's running off to get health. See, he'll go get that green thing. And the AI in this game are really, really, really conservative and defensive. As soon as they're a little bit low on health, they're going to sprint off to pick up a health pickup. Which keeps you moving around the map, so that's kind of cool from that sense. I'm about to die, but it doesn't matter. Finally catching another one of these. Good to see you, Treviso. But anyway, the reason I think this game's really cool is just its sort of high energy, right? Like, the way these environments are falling apart is really impressive for the time and still pretty impressive now. And the way there's just hundreds and hundreds of pedestrians on the street that you can step on to kill is great. And the way that traffic's freaking out and there's missiles coming from these tanks. He just picked up an impalable. There we go. I missed. And the way that there's millions of things that are throwable on the ground and just sort of every... I'm going to die again, but I don't think it matters because I'm on easy and I have another life. See if we can impale him. No. The way the world just feels alive and reactive to what you do is incredibly satisfying, you know? And the sound design's there to match. There's people screaming, there's explosions going off, there's old Hollywood epic music. It's a really, really high energy game. And in 2003, when you're like 10 years old or whatever, and you've never seen any game do destructible environments like this because no other game has done destructible environments like this, and the game has this energy, there we go. It kind of feels like the video game equivalent of smashing action figures together. And it's a lot of fun. Have I played the Pipework Godzilla games? I've played the first one, and it's really, really good. And it's really, really similar to this. And I think it came out 2 months before this did. So if you're just joining us, this is War of the Monsters. A first-party Sony game developed by the people who made Twisted Metal. The ending boss is cool too. It is Jaren. We're going to get there. We're going to beat the campaign here. It's a very flawed game, and it hasn't aged very well. Be warned, this isn't a glowing recommendation. You'll notice that I'm holding the lock-on buttons a lot, which is L1 and R1 on the default controls. And when you lock off, the controls become really unwieldy. The right stick doesn't move the camera, right? It kind of just turns you like turning the left stick would. And it just feels a bit gross. So you want to be locked on all the time. And even then the camera will fail to keep up sometimes, which is a bit of a disaster. So you want to... special attacks. Lovely. So like, while this game hasn't aged well, I think it's a game I want to do a video on just because it does things that are impressive for the time and sort of worth remembering. And it's been 20 years since this came out. It's the 20-year anniversary. I can make that the title of the video. It'll just be a quick 10-minute thing. And another funny thing about this game is people in my life... Yeah, I know, 20 years old, how time flies. People in my life ask me sometimes, what video are you working on at the moment? And I'm always working on a few. And this last week I've been saying I'm working on a video about War of the Monsters on PS2. And usually the shit that I cover is so bizarre that no one knows what I'm talking about. Right? Like, when I said I'm working on Africa on PS3, a photography game, people are like, what are you doing? Like, where do you find these games? But when I mention War of the Monsters... Here's a boss battle. When I mention... Oh god, I timed that horribly. When I mentioned War of the Monsters, the amount of responses I got that were like, oh my god, I love that game. I used to play that, oh god, all the time as a kid. We're off the chain. People played this game. This was a popular game. So I'm really quite surprised. I fully expected whenever I like brought this game up, people would be like, what weird shit is Peter talking about this time? Hi, Bolt. Good to see ya. It's a real blockbustery game. So the reason I'm fucking up these catches so much is because each monster has a dramatically different timing window for the grab. And Ultra V's is really, really small. It's really quick, which is great for grabbing enemies right in front of you. There we go. And I threw it into that anyway. Good to see the stream again. Good to see you here. There we go. Fuck this shit. The timing's really hard. Some characters it's like really easy. There we go. I'll cop that. We're on easy. We can die a few times. But yeah, I remember first playing this game in that PlayStation 2 official magazine demo disc. And it had the first level that we played against Kongar, and I think you played as Kongar, and you could only verse one other character, and there might have been 2-player. And I remember thinking that demo was amazing. You know, the feeling when you first played this game back then was like off the chain. It was like nothing else you'd ever seen, because it used this like proprietary Sony graphics engine, and it had more destruction than any other game. And then when I did eventually play the full game after that, it was a little disappointing. I will say, I think that that level in that demo is about as good as this game gets. There's a better level called Sunopolis, which we'll see soon. But really, you kind of play the demo and get the vibe for the whole game. And I feel like it doesn't have enough single-player content to feel like more than a weekend-long game, you know? But when you're a kid, and you have siblings, and you just want to bash each other with giant monsters, this game's wonderful for that. And I think it ran... This is running on a, This is running on an emulator in software mode. But I'm pretty sure this is about how well it ran on PS2. Like, I've been playing the PS5 port, and I need to boot it up on my actual PS2. Godzilla Save the Earth. Yeah, more destruction than Mercenaries. The destruction in this is more detailed than Mercenaries, but Mercenaries has a giant open world, whereas this has these little, like, vignette-style levels. Oh shit, I didn't realize that knocked me off. Let's do our... Let's throw some helicopters at him. I'm gonna die here. Have you ever looked into Space Fishman on the PS2? It's Japanese only, but it has a really cool cel-shaded art style, and it's the weirdest thing I've ever played. Fishing sim I've ever played. I haven't. I don't even know what that is. It's rare that I haven't heard of a PS2 game, but that sounds like... delightful. That sounds very up my alley. What's up, Mini-Me? This kind of looks like a Transformers knockoff of sorts. What's up? It's good to see you here. Sort of is a Transformers knockoff. Another thing that I think is a little disappointing with the final release of this game is you can do 4 monster battles, right? You can do, like, you versus 3 opponents. But it's only 2-player split screen. So you end up in this sort of weird situation where you can play multiplayer. Because it doesn't have the fighting game depth to feel like a real fighting game. Like, or balance, rather. It has a lot of depth, but not the balance to make up for it, to capitalize on it. So you end up in this weird situation where the game feels more like a fun party game about, you know, bashing over buildings and... They're hitting me. Fuck. And sort of just enjoyable chaos to this game. Because it has such a fun vibe and such a ridiculous, like, Rampage-esque silliness that's delightful. It's truly delightful. But it's a party game that only supports 2 people. Is not really a party, is it? You know, it's... I need him to start doing that missile attack thing, because then you can get up between his hands and punch him. This one. Yeah. See, he can't hit me while I'm doing this. It's a flaw in his design. Also, you can't play as this enemy monster. I feel like he could have been in the roster. I'm blocking. R2 is block. It's sort of useless and can be broken through real easy by most characters. Yeah, it doesn't have multi-tap support, which is really bizarre for a first-party Sony game. And maybe they wanted to like keep the frame rate high or something, because it is high, and that's impressive. But this is the exact kind of game that sort of four-player silly pandemonium throwing each other around the map would be a lot of fun. I don't know what Glob Go Gab the Lab is, I'm sorry. If I accidentally referenced it, it was unintentional. The allegations are false. Here we go. Like, there's some funky stuff in this game. Like, you can double... I'll see if I can do it. You can double tap forward to sprint, right? But the animation to start your sprint takes so long that it's, like, never really worth doing. And there's light attack, heavy attack button combos that are like 10 button inputs long. But you never feel like you have a big enough window to use them, for one thing. Here we go. Surely this is it. Why am I shooting him? Oh, right. I've exhausted myself. What's going on here? 2011 Christian animated film that became a meme. Okay. Lovely. I'm dead. That's cool. I will defend Africa to my dying breath. I'm kind of with you. I know I didn't say it's a great game, but what it is so delightful. Also, I'm really surprised that my Africa video did really well. I guess I shouldn't be. But my Africa video got heaps of views, and that's amazing. The golden rectangle. You can do special attacks, that's right. So you have a ranged attack. This one is like a grab towards you, so I don't know if it'll... Oh yeah, that did it. Triangle circle ones are really strong. They are. And they're almost always worth using unless you really need to do an area of attack. So yeah, that's the first major boss in the game. In War of the Monsters, if you're joining us, which is a delightfully silly monster fighting PS2 game that blew my mind when I played it 20 years ago. It felt like a video game from the future. But with how fast that technology moved in like the noughties, which is a word I don't like, it kind of felt like this game fell behind really weird. Really weird? Really quickly. I'm reading chat and talking. Like, this game was, in terms of its destruction, was kind of outclassed by Hulk Ultimate Destruction and Mercenaries World in Flames. And then a few years after that, we'd have, you know, Red Faction Guerrilla and Mercenaries 2. And games that would just completely overshadow this game only, you know, 5 years later or whatever. So while this was really impressive in 2003, by the time it was 2005, it almost felt old. And it's an old-fashioned feeling game as it is, you know, with power-ups around the map and sort of you need to read the instruction manual to learn how to properly play it. But look at it. Look at all those pedestrians. It's genuinely really impressive. And it's such an exciting vibe. It's a love-hate relationship. I'm being picked up. I always found this to be like the hardest, one of the hardest levels in the entire campaign, which is only like an hour long, or 2 hours long. There we are. That's this close range special attack. What you need to do when versing multiple AI enemies in this is really focus on one. Because if you don't, they'll just keep running off and grabbing health. And it's really hard. Like, this guy's running to grab health right now. And I need to fit... See, he just got health and his little icon went from red to yellow. And he's going to get more health. The way the AI play in this game is incredibly defensive. Which is fun, in some sense. But, like, far out. Let's get him. Oh, Bloody landed on a health pickup. Here we go. Damn it. See, he's running off again. And the other guy's attacking me, so I can't get to him. He's picking up health. You can hear him picking up the health pickup. See, he's like almost at full health again, right? And I've been impaled, which is the overpowered... Let's do this. Oh, I don't even have it. Here we are. Nah, I'm focusing him. Lovely, lovely. He's going to go for this health, so I'm going to grab it first. Oh, he just ground slammed me. And this is on easy, right? This game gets real difficult, and you just kind of have to start exploiting it in ways that feel bad to beat the hard difficulties. Ah, I'm dead again, aren't I? What a throwback. I love this game. Yeah, dude. Alright, where is he? Picking up health. What a surprise. He's gonna kill me. Frustrating, I would say. A little bit better in 2-player. How's it going, mate? Cool game. I played a similar one on GameCube back in the day. It was probably the Godzilla game. I'm good. Thank you for asking. I could never get past the final boss in the campaign. This level, I think, is harder than the final boss. So many monster movie robot references here. King Kong, Toho, Monsters, Transformers, 50 sci-fi monsters. Yeah, the vibe here is really, really great. And the soundtrack's really great. And annoyingly, the soundtrack was done by Tommy Tallarico Studios, who's not exactly a well-liked figure, but his studios, I will say, did a good job. I feel like... There we go. We finally killed him. If that didn't take all the effort. Now the game's quite a bit easier because there's only one opponent. Hopefully, I don't die again because we might have to restart this whole thing. I mistimed that. He just did his special attack. I still haven't properly looked into why everyone hates Tommy Tallarico. I know there's a big video by H-Bomber Guy that I should watch about it. And I know that he had the weirdest vibe ever whenever he, like, publicly presented himself. He didn't come across well. But I don't actually know why he's so controversial. This feels like a late 50s movie that would be on a poster inside another movie. Yeah, definitely. The other game that I felt had this sort of energy, or the closest game to this game's energy at the time, I think was... what was it called? Destroy All Humans? I think it was called Destroy... That one with the little alien, the open world, Pandemic Studios. He's running off to get health. We're going to throw cars at him. I feel like Destroy All Humans did this energy really well. But Destroy All Humans is a lot more tongue-in-cheek than this is. This one feels like a true love letter to the genre, whereas Destroy All Humans feels like a piss take of the genre. Made us the stream. Hey, Minnie. Hey, Sam. Good to see you. Yeah, Destroy All Humans. At this point, it seems very plausible that Tommy Tallarico lied about 90% of all his accomplishments over his career. Just going off the vibes of that guy, that's not surprising. It's because Tommy Tallarico announced a new Intellivision and then took Kickstarter money, and then still to this day he hasn't released it and probably never will. Okay, yeah, I do remember hearing that story, I think. Playing multiplayer in this was great. I remember my friend and I coming up with silly rules like trying to impale each other from different ends of the map. Yeah, it's a delightful game in 2-player split screen. I think it's really fun. I had a friend over to play this with me last night, who might be watching right now. Oh, this level I always found tricky. I always found versing multiple opponents tricky. I had a friend over last night to play this game with, and I found that the most fun we had was playing with us versus 2 AI on hard and trying to beat them. Because on hard, the AI in this game are like borderline perfect at it. Let me grab him. Ah. But the split screen is definitely where this game shines brightest, I think. And I think, like I was saying, after playing that demo in split screen and then getting the full game was a little disappointing because I don't think the single player, it really works that well. And if this game came out today, it'd be panned for being horribly imbalanced. And it'd probably be patched until it was balanced, you know? But because it just came out being kind of sketchy. It's got Power Rangers vibes. Destroy Humans 1 and 2 got remakes, and I recommend them. I played the Destroy Humans 1 remake, and I thought that the more cartoony graphic style didn't do it for me as much. I thought it was a little... It's sort of like... made the tone feel a little more... I don't know, off to me. Not to say it's not a good game. But I think there's an argument to be made for the original game having a better style, almost. Surely this guy's dead. There we go. Hey Minnie, tell us what your thoughts on the new Spider-Man 2 gameplay. I see what you're trying to do here. You're trying to bait out my controversial take about how much I dislike Spider-Man 2018. Go subscribe to the Golden Bolt. People are complimenting him in chat for a reason. I haven't actually watched the new Sony presentation, nor have I watched the new Nintendo Direct. They were both on while I was asleep. Or roundabouts. That's okay. I got another health. I heard that... I heard that the Nintendo Direct was rather disappointing. Golden Bolt makes very good Ratchet and Clank videos, which is surprising because deep down I know that he dislikes Ratchet and Clank. Like, he's just doing it for the content. Special attack. How lovely. I'm impressed the walls go invisible for the camera. Rocket League had to make a patch for that, for its goal holes. Yeah, it's impressive. Goal holes is a funny. I'm still shocked from your take that you didn't like newer God of War. Yeah. I don't really love the new Sony thing. Those, like, cinematic AAA Sony... the new God of War's fine. I think that Spider-Man 2018 is genuinely very boring. I think that it's, like Max Howard just said, it's repetitive, there's not a lot of variety. I think the swinging is incredibly dull and doesn't have a high skill ceiling. You kind of just feels very monotonous and mindless to me. God of War 2018, on the other hand, is a good game that I like. I get why people think it's great. I just not my vibe. I just think, I don't know. God of War 2018, I think, is a far better game than Spider-Man 2018. I think Spider-Man 2018's rather dull. God of War 2018's pretty good, but not, like, mind-blowing. That's probably just my general take. I'm not really a hot takes guy. But I do dislike some popular things, as does everyone, I guess. So this one's all about ground slamming this reactor thing below me when it pops back up, and you just do that a few times. And you blow up the nuclear reactor, and that's the level over. And I had to Google how to ground... Actually, I had to Google how to ground slam when the game asked me to. Which I think it asks you to through, like, a... tutorial pickup thing somewhere around here. I'm not a fan of every Sony game being cinematic third-person game, emphasis on the story. I agree. Like, this game, this game we're playing right now is a Sony game, you know? They used to make some pretty goofy shit that they don't anymore. But that said, I think that the Naughty Dog games are delightful. I feel like almost unlike God of War and especially Spider-Man, The Last of Us 2 took a lot of risks that I found compelling. It's funny talking about my takes on newer games. Like, I made a video this year of my 2022 Game of the Year, where I talked a bit about my tastes. And it was still a rather positive video where I talked, you know, I kind of just shared the love to the videos that I think are, to the games that I think are great. But I did mention that I don't love Horizon, or I don't love God of War. In fact, I didn't even mention it. I just put it in a little title card, being like, here's why I didn't play God of War Ragnarok or Horizon Forbidden West. It's because I didn't like the originals. It was just sort of written in this screen that was a list of games that I didn't play from 2022. And because of that, I got a lot of comments about, like, how could you not like God of War, you know? Which isn't surprising. I kind of expected it. And that video is, like, my most disliked video in a long time on my channel. I think I'm gonna enjoy every year doing a Game of the Year video and watching it become the most disliked video. I think one more Grand Slam will beat this level. We just need this to pop back up again. Damn, there's some real conversation going on in here. Let me beat this level, then we'll have a read. If you're just joining us, this is War of the Monsters, which we just beat the level, which is a delightful Sony game on the PS2. A love letter to old Hollywood and kaiju movies. I gave the first Horizon an honest try, but I found it really boring. I agree. Have you got any thoughts on the Steam Deck? Great for emulating older games, so kind of in your wheelhouse. I think the Steam Deck is a magnificent sort of player in the video game hardware space. And I don't have one, and Steam don't sell them in my country, which is disappointing. Rare's just released a new obscure game video, and it's so weird to see an old game try to rip off Jet Set Radio rather than modern Sony. Right. I loved your 2022 Game of the Year video because you mentioned Saints Row, so it's automatically your best video. I'll say I like Spider-Man 2018, but the web swinging is so easy compared to Spider-Man 2 2004. Exactly, Crooked Media Studios. I liked 2004 because you could screw up and crash, and you had to be good at it. Start going backwards and doing previous Game of the Years to get even more dislikes. I'm just going to rack them up. My favorite 2022 games were games people hated. Saints Row and Pokemon Scarlet Violet. Yeah. Got another boss battle. The second boss battle in the game. So when this guy opens his mouth, we can throw something in it. Oh, I thought I had something in my hand. Never mind. Yeah, I did think Saints Row 2022 was good. And I think I got a lot of dislikes because I said that. Funny, right? It's funny how, like, liking a thing can be a controversial. You know, I liked a video game. And it was really funny getting people shocked that I liked Saints Row, you know? Here we go. Better. Look how much damage it did. Have you ever played Kung Fu Chaos? I have, and I remember thinking it was awesome. I remember thinking it was great fun. I had a friend at school who I used to play it with. Maybe a topic for another time. I think that I can't remember, someone mentioned the developer of them, but there's a trilogy of Godzilla games in the PS2 era. That are very similar to this game that I think will be worth talking about someday. When I get around to it, I have so many videos I want to do. Here we go. Lovely. You and me are the biggest Saints Row 2022 warriors. Little Shop of Horrors reference homage here, which also definitely inspired the Mario thing. Yeah, absolutely. Everything in this game. Like, I feel like it's the darn thing to say the developers obviously loved what they were doing, you know? It was like, there's a clear love for the source material. Is almost a cliche thing to say when it comes to video games, but my god. Yeah, Pipeworks. The Pipeworks Godzilla games are really compelling. But you can really, really, really tell that the developers genuinely did love making this game. And it seems like the B team at Incognito Studios made it. So while that odd Twisted Metal bloke, David Jaffe, was off making Twisted Metal, there was sort of another team that made this. There we are. Beautiful. Did you like The Witcher 3 mini? I've heard some hot takes lately. You might be disappointed, but I didn't love it. I think it's okay. I guess that's my hot take. The thing is, a lot of these games that I'm like presenting as hot takes, I think are just okay. I think Spider-Man's okay. I think God of War's okay. They're not bad. I just wish they were better. 2 underrated PS3 games, Rain, Lost in the Rain, and Tokyo Jungle. Yeah, Tokyo Jungle's cool. You remember seeing an ad for War of the Monsters in a K-Zone? Straya? Yeah. See, when this game came out, I was the perfect age for it, right? Like, I was probably like 8 or something. So this just seemed like this seemed like all of those sort of action figures you have as a kid, and you smash them together and imagine these crazy battle scenarios. This seemed like the perfect video game realization of my imagination. I've almost beat this boss. The bosses in this game aren't great. The single player in this game isn't great. I don't actually know how to avoid those. I guess you could just block them. Here we are. Lovely. I expected that answer, not gonna lie. Yeah, I'm sorry for sounding like such a contrarian. I try not to like... I try not to like... I don't know... bring it up often on my main channel, I suppose. Minnie the kind of guy to send his collection into a K-Zone? I think I did. I think I did send my K-Zone collection into K-Zone. I was one of those kids who would like always ask for the K-Zone whenever we're at like the grocery store. I love how you're right, Sam. And what I did was I always entered every competition in K-Zone. I remember, like, I must have had like a pretty big postage bill for my parents. But I remember it would always be like 25 words or less why you love The Simpsons or whatever. And I'd write it out and I'd send it into K-Zone. And I would literally send these packages in, like, entering every single K-Zone competition in the magazine. And I won a lot of stuff. I won heaps of stuff. I won some, like... DVDs. I won tickets to this weird like kids air show in Richmond, Sydney that had like the Hooly Doolies playing. Don't even ask. So that was a lot of fun. And yeah, I literally sent my K-Zone collection into K-Zone. I can't believe you predicted that. There is a Richmond in Sydney. It's in the far northwest, and the sort of fair thing that I won tickets to was in the quite famous Richmond Air Base. Oh, ooh, we're good here. I think we might have killed this guy. No, lock onto the other one. There's no easy way to switch lock-on targets. It's so awkward. There we go. Okay, we're good. Yeah, skewering people with antennas in this game is incredibly overpowered, so let's go find one. And it is truly amazing that these entire maps are flattenable. You probably have to put in like a god mode cheat to actually flatten them without dying. There's no sort of mode where... Here we are, an antenna. You grab it, you aim it at him, you throw it, and suddenly he's skewered, and I can pick him up, and I can throw him. I could have punched him in my arms as well. He's running off to get health. The earthquake in this level. Oh, I gotta remember how to do that. There's also the tsunami in another level. Remind me how to do the earthquake and we'll see if we can do it. I haven't done it in probably 20 years or 15 years. I recommend the Madagascar game if you haven't played it. Surprisingly good for a tie-in. I agree. And I want to do a video on it. The Madagascar game is really great because the way that it keeps you playing it is it's just constantly evolving and changing what you're doing. Like sometimes you're playing like putt-putt. Sometimes it's a 3D platformer. Sometimes it's more of a combat thing. Sometimes you're avoiding traffic. The Madagascar game is really quite good. I should do it. Good suggestion. Are you using an Xbox controller? And where did you put the other one? I've got it here as well. You can sneak in and come grab it. This gameplay is unearthing forgotten memories. Yeah. I'm glad. This is one of those games that, like, it felt amazing at the time, but also it felt outdated very quickly. I just impaled him. How lovely. How about the Ratatouille game? It had amazing food-themed dream levels. Yeah, people have been asking me to play that for years. I should play it. I bought a copy. I've been meaning to. Oh, I'm exhausted. There is like a stamina meter in this game. And you can pick up stamina pickups, but it's never really worth going for them. Madagascar carts. I didn't play that. Hello from the US. Always wanted this game. Is it similar to Destroy All Monsters? It is very similar. Gotta ask, since we've brought up Godzilla a couple of times, but are you excited for the new film? I guess so. I've never actually been a big monster movie guy. When I think of Godzilla, I think of the Matthew Broderick film. Which, is probably the wrong film to think of. Favorite Flash games back in the day? The buildings at the temple. Yeah, that's right. I'm gonna do the earthquake another time. Favorite Flash games back in the day? Okay, that's far more involved than I thought it was, bad pun. It's far harder to do than the tsunami in the other level. Favorite Flash games? I thought Line Rider was just an unreal thing when Line Rider became a craze. I had friends who were like amazing, made some amazing Line Rider tracks, and I remember it was during the early YouTube days when Line Rider started really blowing up, and Line Rider 2 came out, but the vibe wasn't the same. I need to kill this guy because he's really low, and if I don't kill him, he's gonna pick up health. Watch that number 2 circle go green soon because he's going to pick up health. Look at him running off. Oh, I accidentally used my super. Yep, green again. So annoying. This is like in Pokemon when they use super restores. Did I not just pick up a... Ah, whatever. Defend Your Castle was so good. Do you remember, was it called Art of War? Do you remember that Flash game where you'd, like, just spawn troops and they'd walk right, and the AI would spawn troops and they'd walk left? And you'd sort of go through all the different ages, like Age of Empires, until you were in the future, and it was all sci-fi? Age of War. It's called Age of War. Yeah, full restores is what I meant, sorry. Age of War on Flash, the Flash game, was a delightful game. I'm getting pummeled here. I'm probably going to lose. Look at this. Come here. Throw him with the other guy. And then lock back onto him because the lock changes when you pick him up, which is so annoying because you need to target one guy. This is a frustrating game at times. Oh my god. Stop hitting me. Hit each other. Did I get him? No, he's still alive. Come on. Yes! Lovely, lovely. Everything's on track. Anyone remember Acid Factory? I don't. I remember... Do you remember Dirt Bike, which was basically like Trials? That was pretty rad. I remember Club Penguin. Club Penguin was pretty big. Drag Racer V3, that was huge. Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah, Trials was a Flash series, that's right. Do you remember Tanks? Tanks was awesome. Played a lot of Tanks. The way this game works, because you like almost always have a ranged attack, you're kind of always mashing buttons, no matter what's going on. It's a really like exciting game in a way. Like it's impressive how it just never slows down in pace. Tanks had so much content. Yeah, dude, Tanks was awesome. I played so much Tanks. Tanks was the Worms clone, that's right. Speaking of Worms, Worms was pretty good too. I had Worms World Party. Really great theme song to Worms. One of those theme songs that, like, I think is an all-time great video game theme song. But it's not held up there with all the other sort of famous video game theme songs. Yeah, Worms Armageddon was good. World Party was basically Armageddon with online. Scorched Earth, the same gameplay as Worms? I think so, if it's the game I'm thinking of. This level... Oh, we're all Gundams. It's so appropriate. This is the Tokyo level. Or Japan. Generic Japan level, I guess. And we can do a tsunami if we play our cards right. Grab something to pick up. Where is... Look at all the people. It's so impressive. This thing, up here. Throw something at this UFO. It lasers the ground. And a tsunami comes through, which will let hit us. Why not? And takes out the whole level. It's so impressive. Anyway, back to it. Something I don't like about this game is... Oh no, he's got that thing that'll impale me. Can we disarm him? Is the square button shoots unless you're near enemies, in which it does a melee attack. And that feels really gooey. I'd rather just have a shoot button where I could shoot whenever I wanted to shoot. Whenever I wanted to shoot, rather. He's running off to get health, while the other one hits me. Did you play PC games like Commandos and Close Combat? I played Commandos, I didn't play Close Combat. But yeah, I played a lot of PC games, like... Before I ever had a console, I was playing computer games. Which is, I guess, why Worms is something I've played a lot of. The name of this level is Sunopolis, I wonder why. Yeah. Oh, he supered me. I'm just getting... If you stop paying attention for a second, even on easy mode, you just start to get absolutely wrecked in this game. While you're holding an object, you can't climb things, which is annoying. There's little things that I feel like could be tightened up in this. Ah, he supered. I should super him. Where is he? No, lock onto the right guy. Okay. Lovely. Here we go. Got him. Okay. Game's easy now. Split screen. Oh, I fucked that up. Split screen was a blast. Split screen's the real way to play this. It's about just enjoying the sort of production more than anything else, you know? Because the destructible environments in this are still pretty impressive. Definitely impressive for the time. Did you ever play The Lost Vikings? Yes, but I think I played it way after it mattered. Is that the game where you switch characters to do puzzles? It's like a... Is that a Blizzard game, The Lost Vikings? I think I just beat the level. Hooray! Oh no, we're still going. Impressive graphically, even. Ever play Worms 3D? I played... Worms something that was 3D. It might have been Worms 4. Never thought that the 3D Worms were anywhere near as good as the 2D Worms. But they had a lot of charm, and they're probably a bit underrated. You know? I think they're still quite good. They just get a little overshadowed. They didn't really knock it out of the park with those. Each of the 3 characters has different abilities. Yeah, I've played The Lost Vikings, but I played it for, like, research for a video I was doing, I think. So it's a little, It's not a game I'm endeared to. Have I played any EDF games? I have. EDF's cool. I don't know if I have a take on EDF. I think EDF is a very funny franchise. It has a great sense of humor. Are they going to put the melee object over their back while they climb the building? Yeah, look, good point. Maybe that's not a good argument that you should climb buildings while holding stuff, but... I don't know. There's some small game feel stuff about this game that I wish was slightly different. Maybe not that specifically. They're supering me off the bat. Their ranged super is to put these UFOs around me and just shoot me, and there's just nothing I can do. Let's focus this guy. EDF's cool. I think it's very funny, but I think it probably isn't as fun as its sort of style would imply, I suppose. Ever play Battle for Middle-earth? I did. I played tons of it. I think Battle for Middle-earth was a fantastic RTS. Probably the best Lord of the Rings games ever made were the 2 Battle for Middle-earth games. Battle of, or whatever. If you're just joining us, this is War of the Monsters. A Sony game. Which I've exhausted myself, and I'm gonna die, and he's gonna go pick up health. How sad. Don't pick up health, don't pick up health. Lovely, alright. Who's shooting me? Oh, it's the gun. Beating this game with all characters was a drag since there's 0 variety. Exactly. The thing is, this campaign I'm playing, right, this isn't... My character's name is Ultra V. This isn't Ultra V's campaign. This is the same campaign for every character. So I would be versing these 3 aliens no matter what character I played. I'd do all these missions in the same order no matter what character I played. And the game really wants you to grind to unlock these points that you get at the end of every level. I think I beat it. And you use those points to unlock the secret characters and extra levels and, you know, mini games and stuff. And grinding for those extra characters takes forever. Takes a really long time. So when you first pick up this game, it's just completely, like, wonderful. You know, all the buildings can be destroyed. The soundtrack's fantastic. All of the sound effects, which I think is something I should be talking about more, are super impressive and punchy. The vibe's amazing, but then the more you play it, particularly if you're on your own, the more grating it gets, and then you start to realize it really, really wants you to grind, and it all just slows down a bit. But still, there's kind of no other game that really like this. Like, there's a few, but it's a very rare feeling. This game there's some rare qualities to this game. Ben Martinez, by the way, I found Deadly Dozen for $1 in the back of Sears. That's awesome. Love it. This genre is rare these days. Kind of always was. I know you can point to Rampage and King of the Monsters on SNES. But even when this came out, there wasn't a lot of games like this, aside from maybe the Godzilla games. And this is the final boss in the game, so it's not long. Can't remember how to beat it. I think he just opens up and I can just throw something at him. But this boss isn't fun. Yeah, oh no, wrong button. I need to really throw something at him when he does that. The boss battles in this game aren't great, the single player isn't great. This sounds like a game that would have been perfect for arcades with how it falls off, although the controls sound a bit complicated. Yeah, it feels like a... It feels like a game that came out... It feels like a 1993 game that came out in 2003, if that makes sense. Like, it's weird. They built these amazing levels and these intricate combat systems and incredible, like, tech. It's a real tech showcase of a game. But then they just don't really... Oh, I didn't realize I had something in my hands. But they just don't really capitalize on it very well. And it's sort of frustrating. Lovely. Yeah, this boss is rather tedious. And having to do this boss 10 times for each different character, where the only difference in the campaigns is you unlock a final cutscene, which tells you the origin story of each monster. So you could... It's basically like... And that cutscene only goes for like 30 seconds, right? I don't have anything in my hand. Hopefully that will do. Here we are. Ammunition. Is there no more pylons for me to hide under? I'm just gonna get pummeled. Cool. Fuck me, I guess. Give me shit to pick up. Should have been a roguelike. I agree. I can't move around. It just targets me. Whatever. Impaling your friends with the building antenna is the best thing. Yeah. It's good fun. Can I hide behind this? Nope. I might not even bother to beat this boss because it is incredibly annoying. Have you heard of the 2005 game Chameleon? I have. I have it installed. For those who don't know, Chameleon is like a Czech-developed game. Yeah, nah. Let's call the game here. But we'll have a look at some of the other characters, actually. Yeah, Chameleon's an interesting game. It's sort of only released in Eastern Europe, but it was completely translated to English and even has English voice acting. And it's sort of a spiritual successor to Mafia 1. So, one I want to check out sometime. Do you remember the era of gladiator games like Shadow of Rome, Colosseum, Road to Freedom, and Gladius? Can't talk today. I do. I think that Shadow of Rome's a really cool game. I haven't played the other two. Have you played Mr. Mosquito and its Japanese only sequel, Car 2 Let's Go Hawaii? I haven't played the sequel, but I have played Mr. Mosquito. A very funky game. So all that time, this game was on easy. Reminds me a lot of Twisted Metal in the sense that beating it for the first time is cool, but on the second run onwards, you just speed run on easy because it takes too long to beat any enemy. Yeah, but then you want to play it on hard because you get rewarded with more points, and you want points because you can go into the unlocks menu here and buy this stuff. So you can buy 4 costumes for each character, or you get 2 for free for the ones that start unlocked, and you can also buy characters. And I almost beat the campaign on easy just then, and I have 62,800 points, and to unlock a character it costs 200,000. So I'd probably have to beat campaigns more than 2 times just to get one of the characters, which is boring in and of itself. It's kind of a one and done game, but it wants you to replay it over and over and over, so you can put in cheat codes and stuff. The menus are very charming. And then there's just like custom matches and endurance modes and stuff like that. So it's, you know, it's one of those games that when you pick it up, it's incredibly delightful. But then it just sort of drifts off a bit until you invite a friend over, and then it's delightful again. And then they get to experience the joy for themselves. Yeah, I think let's wrap up the stream there. I'm sorry to Gypsy who just joined, and I'm sorry that you had horrific news today, so I hope everything's all good. Thank you for joining me in this stream of War of the Monsters on PS2. I'll probably have a video out about it around mid next week. Absolutely love you. I've watched your videos for years now. Thank you. I appreciate that. It's very kind. Yeah. Thanks for having me. Thanks for having us. Take care of yourselves. Farewell. And I stream every week for about an hour. So next week I'm thinking of streaming for the Africa video. I installed Encarta 2009. Right? Which is the what would you call it? Encyclopedia software from Microsoft. And I think I want to stream that next week. So see you next week when we stream Encarta 2009, which has a very Windows Vista looking interface. Should be fun. Anyway, take care. Thanks for being here. And catch